rolling like a geezer.
Welcome, everybody. It's once again time for Graybeard's Studio. I am the grayest of the beards. I'm Aaron Lopresti. I'm your host, but I don't do this show alone. But before we get to the other folks that are going to be part of this, I want to send out a, when people like lose something and they'll like post like on the neighborhood phone pole or something, hey, or a cat's missing, or I lost my mailbox key. I did a drawing of Green Lantern on this very show several months ago, and Andy Smith got in touch with me and said, hey, what do you want for that Green Lantern sketch? And I knew Andy wasn't going to pay me. He doesn't have any money. So I said, you know what, Andy, as a gift to you, as a friend, I'll send it to you. And he said, great. Well, since that time, I have lost it. And I have looked in every one of my flat files, and I can't find it anywhere. Did anyone in the chat receive this Green Lantern? Did I send it to you accidentally? Or maybe I sold it to you and forgot that I was giving it to Andy. But if you have it, just let me, I'm not going to take it back. I just want to know because I can't find it anywhere and I have no idea what happened to it. So there you go. That's kind of my missing persons thing for this week. But anyway, let's bring on the lads. Here's a guy who's been missing for years, but thankfully we found him. It's our good friend, Gary Martin. There's Gary.
Aaron, since Valentine's Day is rapidly approaching, I was thinking about how weird it is when you give someone flowers, that you're really saying, here you go. Now watch these die because I like you. I think you should give someone flowers when you want to threaten them.
Well, is it one of those things where you set them up with this nice, beautiful thing, and then it just dies, and so it kind of like
die, and so that's kind of an ominous gift, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking,
it's like isn't that a hidden message that you better shape up, or I'm going to get you?
It's like, I like you now, but if you don't shape up, here's what's going to happen in about 7 days. Yep. That's an excellent point, Gary. Maybe plastic flowers is the answer if you don't want to send the hidden message there, but I do think you're onto something. Here's a guy who's on something for sure. It's Dangerous Dan Lawlis, but you're more like romantic Dan Lawlis today. Look, you got the ascot and the kind of the red glowing. What is that behind you that's kind of glistening there in that?
Just some red lights.
It's just, is it love lights?
Absolutely, romantic time.
You know what it looks? It reminds me of like a Vegas, like what a hotel, like a marriage suite or whatever, and they got the like the glowing lights. Do you have mirrors on your ceiling? I'm just curious.
That's what I was going for cheesy.
You have succeeded.
Okay.
Now, I did have invites out to Andy Smith because this is a Jim Starlin episode, and Andy's a huge Jim Starlin fan. I knew he wanted to draw Captain Marvel. And he said, no, I can't do it. I'm closing out my campaign, whatever that means. So he can't be joining us. So, of course, then I called on our good friend, Karan Kaiser Stone. I said, come on in, help us out. And there you go. So here we are.
But you got the big snub. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe. We'll see. But
Aaron, it's just you and me.
That's right. It's you and me, man, and Gary managing the chat.
It was my romantic lights.
Yeah, it was. It scared you you thought you'd draw him in, but you scared him away.
Oh my God. Maybe that was it. He knew it was coming. He was smart. He was wise. He got out. He said,
wise man. Okay. So let's go into the chat first of all and see if anybody has this Green Lantern drawing I did. Could you imagine how horrible that would? I mean, it'd actually be kind of funny. I'd love to call Andy and go, hey, Andy, you know that That Green Lantern drawing I said I'd give you, I actually sold it to somebody else. Sorry, I forgot. So
well,
see.
that's, yeah, I mean, you could have given it away, and then
it's very possible.
Yeah.
Now, let me throw this out to you guys, being, professionals, and you've dealt with this kind of thing before. So Andy says, he goes, well, if you draw Captain Marvel on this show, you can give that to me in lieu of the Green Lantern. Does that sound logical to you at all?
He's trying to trade up.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it is. Because I said I'd give him the Green Lantern doesn't mean I owe him anything just because I haven't given it to him yet. It doesn't, because there was no handshake, there was no money involved, so I really don't owe Andy anything.
No, you don't. No.
Okay.
So you're saying you
unless you might owe him another Green Lantern though.
Oh, really? You think so?
You might.
Dan, what do you think?
Sure.
Because if you said you're going to give him that Green Lantern and it's spoken for,
as a matter of fact, just to make it, you should give him two.
What? Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I don't know about that.
For mental distress,
I said I will give you this Green Lantern, not a Green Lantern.
See, it's a gray area, but it depends on how Andy interprets that. If he interprets it that you owe him,
I think that's how he's interpreted.
Then that could strain the relationship. If you say no, I don't need to give you anything.
So,
Aaron, did you accidentally find someone who would pay you for it?
I don't remember. I swear to you, I thought for sure I set it up here and put it aside, but there was a stack of other artwork, that I was supposed to mail out to people. And I'm wondering if maybe something got stuck together or it actually went in with somebody else's, because I can't find it anywhere.
Well, see, Aaron, use this as a life lesson. When a friend offers to buy something, take their money. No, you would not be under any obligation if he was going to buy it. So now that you said you were going to give it to him, that kind of changed.
Oh, all right. Okay. Well, let's see what people in the chat say. Wouldn't it be funny if someone actually does have it? Let's see. Lone Star Viper is here. Fallen Lowlife is here. Skull Nasher.
Hey, what if you created a wanted poster?
If I did what?
Created a wanted poster for your art.
I should do that, shouldn't
I? For the Green Lantern. And if somebody has it, then just give Andy the wanted poster.
I like it.
I don't know if I have a scan of the Green Lantern. I would actually, I don't know if I do or not. Well, maybe I do. I'll have to check my Graybeard's portfolio and online and see if it's in there. Skull Nasher says the big question is who will be drawing Dreadstar? Is anybody drawing Dreadstar? Yeah, I don't. Does
anyone like Dreadstar?
Yeah, apparently Skull Nasher does, but someone who was it? It was it Von Stippling or Stippling Vaughn? I mean, I think I may be wrong, but I think he suggested I draw the Weird, and I said the Weird.
Oh, he was talking about because he wrote it, right?
Right, but that doesn't count. But then he came back because he had to be something that Starlin had to have drawn. Okay, and so I said, well, he didn't draw the Weird, Wrightson did. And he goes, oh, but he drew a weird backup story and something else. And I'm like, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so, I didn't know that either.
There you go. Robert the Bruce is here. Repairman Jack. Rand Arrington. Rand says, hey, chat, I'm home today. Woot, woot. We had 7 inches of snow, 2.5 hours to shovel this driveway and walk. Not bad for my old butt. Ha. Wow. That's a lot of snow.
Yeah,
we're supposed to get
this straight. Let me get this straight. Randy, you were using your butt to shovel the snow.
Not bad. That does appear to be what he's claiming.
Okay.
Sound a little literal there.
Yeah. Well, you never know. Andy Dalliff is here. Repairman Jack. He's saying Dreadstar. No, what is with this Dreadstar stuff? That's like a Green Lantern with a blue hood is what Dreadstar is, and a sword. There's Creative Faye. Robert we already did Robert the Bruce. Okay, I'm already confusing myself. Caleb Reynolds is here. Corum. Randy Howell all the way from Canada. He, of course, is posting a link there for Andy's core draft, which is closing out today and tonight. That's why Andy's not here, because he somehow thinks it's more important to be on his own channel closing out his campaign than being here closing out his campaign and drawing stuff.
Yeah, Andy, you have to get over yourself.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I say too. Let's see who else.
You want to sell places where you didn't already sell,
That's right.
On his
People
own
are
channel.
expecting you, Andy, to be on your show.
Yeah, how many people in the chat have not backed Core Drive? I mean, the potential of backers in this audience.
Yeah. We'll sell for him.
We'll never know.
Yeah, because he just blew us off. It's terrible. Best Age Comics is here. Matt Watt. He says, hello, fellow old people. At least he's including us with himself, I believe in that. So that's okay. Glitch is here. J Dread. Sequential Treasures. He says, look at that awesome offer some. Why is there a 4 in there? Look at that awesome Doc Savage comic on Aaron's Comic Rack, which I bought him. See, that's what Sequential Treasures does. He sends me comics so he can brag that he gave them to me, but there it is. I love that issue, by the way. It's a great Rich Buckler cover. And I don't say that very often because I don't think Rich swiped that from anybody.
I think he's saying, where's my Green Lantern drawing?
Oh, Aaron, hold on a second. Hold on, Aaron.
Yeah.
Wait, I missed that. What was that?
So you're qualifying Buckler's good covers by the ones you don't think he swiped.
That he swiped, yeah. Well, because
I buy that. I do.
I do kind of like, but when Buckler kind of drew, he was fine. He had kind of a very dynamic Buscema-ish type style, but he swiped so much.
He was a major swiper. The Buckler stuff that I really loved and bought was when he was doing Black Panther. I think it was called In Jungle Tales, and Klaus Janson was inking him. That stuff was amazing.
I've got some of that. I have to go back and look. I didn't realize that Janson was inker on that.
I'm really grateful to Rich Buckler because of this thing he put in the back of a comic book of how to tell clear stories, and he went through all these rules, including the 180 rule. And I got that right at the beginning of my career. And it served me well throughout my whole career of comics because just following those rules, like how to do clear sequentials from page. I wish I knew where that is, but it was like
that's okay because Dan, it's well known that Buckler swiped those rules.
Yeah, it was like a couple pages in the back of a book, and I was like, and I read them like, oh yeah,
I remember that.
Great, it was really really good. And I never forgot him, and so I really I credit him at least for crediting maybe someone else, but me.
One of my early days at DC, when I was trying to get background work, I was hanging out in the lobby, and Buckler and an unknown inker walked by, and they were talking about a project that this guy was inking, something Buckler had done for DC. As they're walking by, Buckler told the guy, oh, okay. The guy was asking him how he wanted to ink him, what he wanted to look like. And so I perked up and listening. Then Buckler said, oh, ink it like Brian Boland. And I almost busted out laughing. It's like, okay, yeah, good luck with that.
Well, Buckler had a reputation of being kind of a, how should we say that? Was it Coletta that was also kind of like the mob ruffian that would, threaten people?
Buckler might have been connected, are you saying?
Well, I'm not saying he was, but he acted like my understanding was that he would, get in your face and rough you up a little bit or threaten to rough you up if things weren't
okay, I had not heard that.
Yeah. So.
I think we should do that.
We should go around people.
Yeah, we should rough people up and kind of intimidate people and just
well, not dressed like that, Dan. You're gonna have to change.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Anyway, back to the chat.
I have to start broadcasting not from the champagne room, but like the Jersey.
Well, I could be a Vegas mobster.
Thing, yeah.
I could be a Vegas mobster,
Yeah. Well, still not dressed like that, I don't think. I-974 says, I'm here. I've been from the start. Been taking a guitar break before getting back to work. Okay. Robert Doan's Pills is here. Robert the Bruce says, Unsolved Mysteries of the Lost Green Lantern. Indeed. Grumpy Old Ninja Quintero OA, I think is how you pronounce that, is here. Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is almost always here. Marcus Killer Group, purveyor of all things pop culture knowledge. Randy Howell all the way from Canada. Who else we got in here? Ronan. If you want to watch something die, forget flowers and tune in every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Oh boy!
Wow!
Slam! That's like he's like threw us against the ropes and did a full body.
I'm on it. I'm on it. Wow! Ouch! That's just.
I thought that might have been when you were gonna debut the S clip.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for someone to come out, go after you specifically.
Okay.
Queen Mickey is here. Where's the Wolverine drawing? Did Starlin draw Wolverine?
No,
I don't think he.
She's talking about she's because Dan was shaming us.
That's right. He included an extra
about all the free stuff that he was sending somebody. Now Nikki, because she's royalty, is feeling slighted, and she won't let that go.
Henry Jeremick is there. There's Queen Mickey again. Says, "Where's my letter?" I tried to explain to her that if you back a campaign, you get this letter from Shelley and I thanking you for backing the campaign. But if you bought it from my website after the campaign was over, you don't get the letter. And I think we all know that Mickey waited until the campaign was over.
That's true. That's established that she waited.
Yeah, and so it's almost like she doesn't.
What do you mean? We all know.
It's like she doesn't trust me to deliver the book, so she waited.
She wants the letter anyway. So
look, you guys, this is a customer. So you write that letter. You get busy right now writing that letter.
No, I got a stack of them down there. I'll go find one.
You got to write a personalized one.
And now I probably have to draw like a Wolverine head on the letter too.
Indeed, that's all of that. Yes.
So, that'll get us all out of trouble if you do those.
All right. Yeah, it all comes back to me, doesn't it?
No, it's only Mickey. Mickey is a special client. You got to be really.
Is it really? Because once I get into Mickey, then everybody's going to.
No. Mickey falls in. Yeah, you're right, Dan. She falls into
because then they'd have
special client category.
Right. They'd have to make the case that they are, equivalent of Queen Mickey, which is. How you can do that, right?
Right, exactly. Henry Jeremick suggests Shang-Chi, which of course was created by Jim Starlin and Steve Englehart, but then Starlin left because he felt that a white dude should not be drawing a karate Asian book. So he was woke back in the 70s when there was no such thing as woke.
Well, how was he involved in the beginning of it?
Well, he co-created the character.
Okay, so how's he complaining that he's white after co-creating it?
Well, then he realized that maybe he shouldn't be, drawing the character.
How do you do that? I mean, that didn't occur to him while he was creating it. Wait a minute, I'm not Asian.
Maybe it came as a realization to him later that perhaps he had misstepped in doing that.
Well, he was, at his local Chinese eatery, and somebody got this. What are you doing, drawing that character? You're not Chinese. Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
Well, I guess we can't have Jim on this show ever, huh? Best name I can think of is here. Let's see. Who else did we got? There's Glitch. Glitch says, I backed Cordrath, but I might refund now that Andy didn't turn up. Oh, see? I'm going to hang that over his head.
Wow, yeah.
Ronan said, I almost read the title as the Starlin universe.
I typed it in. When I was typing it into the computer, like I was trying to advertise the show.
Now that would be a drawstream.
Oh, my God.
Today, it's the Starlin universe. And that's drawing, comrades.
I'm drawing Brezhnev.
Creative Faces. I haven't backed Cordrath because he gets too frisky in his comics. He includes a nude sex scene in his comics. I was thumbing through the first issue and I What the heck?
Is that
Read
like
it.
a guaranteed thing that he does?
Yeah,
So
I got
fans aren't expecting-
a little flustered. I wasn't
It's
expecting it.
all. There's no holds bar. It's just
That's right. In the world of independent comics, H&R is here. Or is that just HR?
See, I was kind of disappointed that Annie didn't include that bit in his Christmas core draft special.
Yeah, yeah, the children's version, the adult version.
Man, boy, I demanded my money back.
Marcus Killigo says Buckler drew my characters on the cover of Fantastic Worlds #2.
Really? I would like to see that.
Yeah, so would I. Fantastic Worlds.
Could you post that, Marcus? Could you post that on Instagram when you get a chance? That'd be cool.
Yeah, post that. Robert the Bruce for $4.99. Thank you, Robert. Hey, Beards, they brought up D-Wams on the Ink Pulp podcast. Any chance of inviting Sean or Mateo on Graybeards, then maybe Aaron on Ink Pulp?
Can I answer that, Aaron? Can I answer that?
Yeah.
There's no chance.
That's not true, because Mateo, David's already spoken to him once. The problem is he's in Spain, and we'd have to do the show like at 10 o'clock at night. But I said, I'm willing to do that to get him on the show. But I'm not bringing, so it'd be a special show that we would do like at 10 o'clock at night, probably like Pacific time or something.
Okay, so let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that. There's a very slim chance.
Yeah, no, I'm going to do it, but I'm waiting for David to come back, because once David comes back, we're going to start having regular guests again on the show. But I don't want to invite big people on the show and have David miss it, because I know he wants to be a part of it. So we're just waiting for David to be ready to, get back on the air. So there you go.
That shouldn't be too long, right?
No, he told me he wants to get back on soon. So
okay.
Matt Watts says, draw Jimmy Starlin's Dark Phoenix. When did he do Dark Phoenix? Marcus Killigo says, I witnessed Buckler lightboxing a Kevin Nolan face. There you go. Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Sequential Artiste.
I inked some of Rich Buckler backgrounds when I was assisting Dick Giordano. Giordano was inking a lot of covers, and Buckler was doing some of them for DC. And so I saw a couple of Buckler's penciled covers, and it appeared to me that there was a lot of tracing going on.
Yeah, it's so. But here, hang on a second. Let me bring this up. I'm almost positive. This Doc Savage cover. I don't. This Doc Savage does not look like something that he would have swiped from somebody. However, the Wolfman could be opposed, but it doesn't look like it to me. So
that's some serious manspreading there.
Yeah, it is.
Well, it's actually the same. It's the same pose, only the Wolfman is bending over.
Huh? No, you're onto something.
Look at the legs; they're the same as Doc Savage legs.
Oh, they are.
I can't see it that well.
You're such a baby, Dan. There we go. Now, Ross Andrew did the inside.
Boy, my crotch hurts just looking at that.
But I love this cover. I do. Even though it's so, I don't think he swiped that, but I may be wrong.
Well, the colors are good. The composition's good.
Yeah,
it's nice. Yeah. It's dramatic.
Yeah.
I just think the anatomy's wonky. That's all.
Well, yeah, but what was it? Neil Adams that said that as an artist, the mistakes you make are what define your style.
It's true.
And that's why I said I don't have a style, because I don't make any mistakes. So that's been my biggest problem. If I was more mistake prone, like Dan, for example, I would have a stronger.
Yes, and so that speaks for me. That means I'm full of style.
That's no. Well,
I don't know if I ever mentioned to you guys. One time, in Photoshop, I created a perfect stroke. With the pen, thick to thin, and then I duplicated that stroke. With the you can just duplicate. You put it right. You just push the duplicate button,
right.
And it was perfectly done. It looked terrible. It looked mechanical. It looked like no life. It had no. Yeah. I was shocked because I thought this is going to look so great. I don't have to be an inker. I can just do this automatically, and it looked awful. It had no life. Then I just did it with my hand, and it wasn't quite as consistent. Looked better. I don't know. Isn't it fascinating that if you actually did it perfectly, it doesn't look right doesn't look right?
But that's my goal when I'm inking. Is
can finally do this. Yeah.
Gary, I don't know if you remember this or not, and I can't remember what comic book it was, but it was an independent comic book, and it was back in the Studio Source days, so mid to late 90s. And somebody brought in a black and white book, and it had been digitally inked. I mean, every line stroke was perfect. It looked like the computer actually inked it, like it would do a burst, and it was absolutely perfect. And I remember looking at it going, God, this feels robotic, and it doesn't feel,
I remember
you're not fooling anybody. You could look at it and go, no way a human being could possibly do this. And everything was, it was so perfect that it was just like ice cold,
Right. It looks unpleasant. It's really strange. I was so shocked. I'm looking at this going,
see, I get that from women all the time. They say, Gary, you're so perfect, you're unpleasant.
Is that the ultimate insult? It's like, it's not you, it's me. But now they say, you're so perfect, you make me uncomfortable.
Wow, that's pretty good, actually.
Evil One for $10. Thank you, Chris. He says, my blood work came back healthy. Good. But I learned I need to change things in my life. That's probably a good thing, too.
We all do.
That being said, I'm going to be more productive and not waste valuable time anymore. God bless and Godspeed. Love you all. Draw. We'll see.
I was waiting for the hammer to drop. We're saying I'm not going to waste any time anymore, so I'm not watching Graybeards ever again.
Well, I thought he was like needling us, going, "We're wasting time right now. We should be drawing." Maybe that's.
Gosh, you guys read a lot of negativity in this stuff.
I figure everybody's out to get me, but I'm not paranoid. Stealth X5 for $2 says, hello, Stealth. Thanks for joining us. Pantheon says, when John Byrne Sinton sent in samples to Marvel, Rich Buckler said, if you hire him, I will quit Fantastic Four. I heard the story a couple of times. Is it the truth? I've never heard that before.
That's vaguely familiar that Buckler was intimidated by Byrne.
It doesn't surprise me.
I can't confirm that.
We can neither confirm nor deny, but sounds like something we might believe.
Well, we might pass along the rumor.
Yeah. Oh, look. Katie Did's in the chat.
There you go. The newly crowned Katie.
Aaron, could you do me a favor and read her last comment?
Let's see there. You are so perfect, Gary, in my eyes at least.
So is she in fact insulting you, Aaron?
Mm-hmm. There we go. I know when she's insulting me. Okay. Evil One says, don't waste your time with bad jokes either.
Then just end the show now.
I don't gonna say that's the only kind we have on this show. Oh, see, look at that. I almost went on your show last night, Katie. Almost. This close.
So, Katie, he's making progress. He's thinking about it.
Yeah, I was really close.
Well, we're older guys. It takes us a while.
Yeah, it is. It's not.
We got to slowly walk over to the computer. Didn't make it, Just I was in my chair. It was about 20 feet away. I almost got there.
Now, this is a great reason. See, we did the Professionals last night, which is a regular show that I do every Tuesday. And so I had to do that. And I had spent all day working, so I was feeling pretty good. Gary used to tell me, like if you got in a rhythm, you would like try to get as much done as you could. When you got, just go until you burn out. And I would always say, no, I do one page and then I'm taking the rest of the day off. But you were like, no, if you get rolling, I just keep going. And so I had almost finished inking this page of Wraith of God 3. And I figured it's probably going to take me about 2 hours to finish this up. And so I thought, do I go on Katie's show and take the chance that she'll insult me and embarrass me on public broadcast? Or do I skip and finish this page and do it as right by my backers? And that's what I did, Katie. I did what was right by my backers. But soon I will show up on your show, and then we'll see.
Well, if you go on her show, you got to be nice to her.
Well, Of course.
You can't be like her.
See, wait a minute, what are you I'm always nice to Katie. It's Katie that's always starting stuff.
I don't think so.
I'm
Well, Aaron
and
Aaron's just defending himself. That's what he's
That's
all.
all.
Okay.
See, look at that. She says, I would never insult you, but she's yelling at me while she does it.
Yeah, so you're in fact insulting him by saying
Yes.
that.
I mean, that's
By
what I'm
yelling
talking about.
at
She has
him.
all this little subversive stuff she does.
I would never insult you in a man years.
Randy Hall says, check out Creative Faye's fantasy book, The Patient Rock, now on Amazon. Oh, I didn't know that. Good for you, Creative Faye. Guys, run over to Amazon and check that out. So I don't know how to take this. Sleeping Psychopathy says, as one of your backers, I wish you'd gone on the show. Wow, I don't understand, but I don't feel good about that.
Actually, I think that
anyway.
he's complimenting you. Like, you can do both.
No, that's Sleeping Psychopathy is a she. At least that's what she told me, unless she's trying to mess with me. But okay. Well, you deserved it, Aaron Loprest. What?
Wow.
There's just a lot of negativity.
Yeah,
in this
we better move to that next subject because you're gonna get roasted.
See, here it comes. See, it didn't take long for the veneer to drop. And there we go. Okay. Best name I can think of for $5. Thank you. It says, thanks, Gary, for liking that color job I did on Weapon X recreation you did on X. That was fun to do. Very nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I liked your color choices.
Let's do a little show and tell. Speaking of that very thing, Gary, what do we got here?
This is what he was talking about. I posted on Twitter. It's a recreation. Barry Smith.
Barry Windsor Smith.
This is definitely outside my comfort zone. It's very stylized in his, unique inking style, and me trying to mimic this with a brush is very challenging. So I recommend doing that, trying to mimic Barry Smith if you want to.
It looks
stretch
really
your inking muscles.
Looks
Yeah, but you know what, Gary? And this isn't a criticism, but he doesn't have any thick to thin lines, right? They're all because they're pen lines.
No, he throws some in. He throws some in here and there. He does.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah.
His
Here and there,
is fantastic.
Yeah, that's a great piece.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really, really, really nice.
I love the hair on the arms, man. That's just really cool. And the chest and all that, man.
So it was a challenge for me because it is so different. While I was going through my files, I found a couple of pictures of David and I at a convention.
Creative Faye says, I appreciate your commitment to your backers, Aaron. See, there we go. Creative Faye has got my back.
Different opinions. Yes.
Okay. Now, when was this?
David sent these to me the last convention we were at, and I can't remember. It might have been Eastern Washington. Puyallup, maybe.
Did you wait a minute? You've been up to the are you talking about the Summer Con?
I don't think it was called that then. This was like one of the first years they had it. So it was several years ago.
Gary, how tall are you?
How tall were you before you started shrinking? Is what he's asking.
Yeah,
how tall were you?
At my peak, I was 6'4".
Wow.
And then so this is nice picture of David and I, and then David decided to get a little romantic.
Oh.
So I had to tell him, calm down, David. Yeah.
David's he's very touchy.
Well, you can't help yourself. You can't help your animal magnetism. Just look, chicks dig you. Obviously, look at what I got to do to get attention. Gary just sits there.
Oh, here we go. Now this is going to be more trouble, I think. Stealth X5 for $5 says, just wanted to thank Dan for the artwork and the little extra free sketch. You guys are all great.
Stoking the fire.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. See, he mentioned that, and then he says, you guys are all great, meaning, so next time I buy a piece, you guys are going to put a sketch in like Dan, right?
Yes.
It's a quickie, 10-minute sketch. I just throw it in there to say thank you. I really do appreciate when people buy stuff, obviously. So I just want to thank him, you know.
Dan sits around. He goes, "How can I make Aaron and Gary look bad?"
Yeah.
Oh, I know. See, Blue Boy says Barry Smith is the best Wolverine artist ever. I have a page of Weapon X. Ooh, cool.
Really?
The hallway scene where Wolverine is gutting people to death and running. Wow.
Yeah, that series was, I think it was serialized in that Marvel. Shoot, now I can't remember the name of the book. What was the
Marvel Comics Presents.
Yes,
that's where I got my very first job was published in Marvel Comics Presents.
Yes, Marvel Comics Presents, and luckily, the Sheena story that inked over Paul Gulacy appeared in those same issues.
So you got royalties?
I.e., royalty check was sweet.
Yes. That was nice. That Sheena thing you guys did was really good too, though. There was sometimes you could get some really good stuff in that, and other times you get crap, like my first job, for example. But they were producing that thing bi-weekly, if you remember, at least for a long while. And so they had all of these, my gosh, excuse me. They were just like, just give me a warm body to do this story because we got
content. Yeah.
And that's how I was able to squeeze in and get my very first work. Oh my gosh. See, Dan Lawlis, you are the best.
Okay, I'll take it.
Okay.
Well, it was that compliment about, no one could ever match her kind of thing. Like that, I think that put me in that, it bumped me up in the categories there.
Well, yeah, you're giving away free stuff and making everybody else look bad.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the compliment. I said that no one could match, the Mickey whatever level of.
Yeah, so you're not.
So this is how you do it, you guys.
You're not at all bribing people in the chat. So I will.
No, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Anybody
that's all I'm
brings
doing.
that up, I will refute that you are bribing people.
Yeah, that would be kind of my kind of feeling too. That you're definitely not bribing anybody.
I admit that. I'm completely doing that, of course. I'm not ashamed of it.
Rand Arrington says, "Have you guys ever done a Mike Mignola theme? He was a category, but he did not get voted in. I can't remember who beat him out that one time, but Mignola was. I think Gary was one of yours, but we had the 3 artist choices, and I can't remember who beat him out, but somebody did. And so we haven't done Mignola yet. No.
Yeah, we'll have to bring his name.
Well, just do Mignola Universe.
Oh, I have some Martin Lopresti art for sale.
Wow. Oh, man.
Wow.
I didn't mean to do you guys. I didn't mean to do that.
That's cold.
Yeah, that's tough.
John says, "Hello, Katie. Hope you're having a better day than these guys."
Next, she's going to say off of your heads. I think that's what's coming.
I know. It's
Mickey's prominently displaying our artwork on her floor.
Oh man.
Your dog walks over it. Dan, tell us what you got here.
Okay, so Andy's not here, but we're going to promote this because this is the last day of Core Draft. He's going to print. He's really closing out tonight. And this is just the 2 covers that Bud Root drew, the great Bud Root, and I colored. And so if you bought issue 1 with this cover on it, it connects with issue 2, and we're going to go through the whole thing. So it'll be a pretty cool collectible because all the covers will go together seamlessly, which probably would have been something that they should have told me when I first did the first one. I kind of brought it on this side to somehow work it in there and make it fit. But I will make it fit on all of them because that's what I do.
Well, what did you do? Did you kind of like airbrush a little blue in there, to connect?
Yeah. Well, what I did was actually someone in the chat gave me the idea. There's this content aware thing. You put that in there, and it duplicates it. So because I was having trouble trying to match it up precisely just with my airbrush, and this thing did it. Like it took it right into it graded it right into the other illustration. So it is absolutely seamless, and so I can do that in the next one too. It'll be perfect,
Beautiful, man. Oh, I just noticed this little red dragon down here at the bottom of the.
I did not see that.
Yeah, was that on the original?
Sure.
That guy right there.
Yeah, yeah.
You obviously it would have to have been. You didn't like. I was thinking, did you add it to combine the two? But
Nope,
he's
nope.
always been
Yeah,
there.
but look at that. Look at that. It's completely seamless between the two. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then there's other. Look at this. A little. You probably didn't notice this either. A little canary on her.
Oh, I did. Look at that. You're like a where's Waldo? These things are awesome.
I thought this.
Yeah. See, you got. Yeah. Everyone's distracted by certain.
Yeah. I wonder. I got to go like this. Wait. Yeah. Probably got to do this here.
Yeah. There you go.
Little tiny. I want everybody to know that the link to Andy Smith's Chord Wrath of Reckoning is in the description of this video, so that'll take you right there. But if you're watching this on reruns, it's midnight tonight. It closes, or 3 a.m. Eastern, 12 o'clock midnight, and West Coast time. So you have some time, but make sure you back that before he closes out if you haven't done so already.
Yeah. So Chord Wrath is a great story. It's it's Conan-esque. This is the first issue. This one features, of course, Lilith, the villain, and Adriana here is the hero. I'm not sure who will be on the next one. Probably a hero and a villain. Maybe Chord Wrath, and then
well, he's out of girls, isn't he? These are the two big ones, right? There's not a third girl to put on.
No, Aaron, no. These are the four big ones.
Yeah. Of course.
So, I wasn't even familiar with Bud Root's art before this. He's really, really cool. He's a lot of fun. He's cheesecake stuff, but it's got a sense of humor, and which is a lot of fun. And I get a kick out of it. And I've enjoyed coloring it. In that first issue, I colored that 4-page thing by him, and I had a blast. It was so much fun. I actually like coloring other people's stuff sometimes. If I like the drawings, like Aaron with your Garbage Man, that was a blast. Just it's almost like the pressure's all off, the work's all kind of done, and I can just paint away. I just
realized, Dan, you could have changed that statement greatly, but you just added one word and it made it okay. So you're talking about coloring other people's stuff, and then you say, Aaron, with your Garbage Man.
With your garbage.
Well, man. No, but the great thing was, Dan, on the Garbage Man story is that you are a Wrightson fan, as I am, and you recognized exactly what I was doing.
Yes.
And it has a real nice sort of, when Wrightson was coloring his own stuff, like in the Captain Stern story and things in heavy metal, it has that vibe to it. And it really works because that's exactly what I was going for.
Well, you and I both love that piece. The Hanover Fist is caught stealing chickens from the gentleman's commune. Yes. I love that piece.
So do I.
And so I really pulled a lot of coloring ideas from that,
Well, and that character in the Garbage Man story is an homage to Hanover Fist, clearly. So that's what we were going for, and we got it. So
now Gary, I could have been saying, like using the word "man" as in, "Hey, man." So I can say, "Yeah, I love drawing your garbage, man."
Well, you had to.
I love coloring your garbage.
There was no pause, though.
Hey,
you said "garbage man." You had to garbage pause man.
Yeah.
Hey,
now, if
garbage,
anybody wonders what we're talking about, there's a Garbage Man backup story in Wraith of God 2 Blood Hunters, which is available on my website, which you'll find a link for that in the description of this video, as well as Wraith of God 3 Fear Hollow, my current campaign. You will find a link in the description of this video as well. Evil One says, nobody knows Aaron's garbage like Gary does. That may be true. All right. So I have something interesting I want to kind of throw up here real quick. I'm going to go full screen so I can do this. I was cleaning out my studio.
And you found?
It, well, I did not find a Green Lantern, but okay. So just some of the items I found. I found this
beautiful
Kit Carter. I did a bunch of headshots for people that ordered the Kit Carter Completist from the Kit Carter campaign. I did one too many.
That's
so I
gorgeous.
found this extra Kit Carter, right? Now, and then as I was going through, I found this. Now this is my most sought after and rarest sketchbook. It actually sold out. I mean, almost immediately because
I've not seen that.
It has all of this Red Sonja stuff in here, which the boys love, or at least I'm told. John Carter of Mars, Deja Forest.
Nice. Stuff. You draw nice women.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So this is probably my best sketchbook. Completely, you can't get them anymore. They're gone. But I did find this one copy, right? So this is going someplace.
Is it fair to call that Aaron's cheesecake sketchbook?
Well, there's more than that in there because my sketchbooks cover a variety of topics.
Okay.
And I was going through it and I found that I had this extra Claire Wendling book. I bought 2 of them by accident. I had one signed by her, and then I had this other one that I picked up and I went, oh, wait a minute, I've already got that. If you don't know who Claire Wendling is, check out my video from 2 weeks ago from Aaron Live. But anyway, so I have this book, right? And
Aaron, you can go ahead and send that to me.
Well, hang on a second now.
Yeah.
So then I found this. Really I said, I've got 2 of these, right? 2 of these. I got one signed by Gary, and then I got
because I think I sent one to you, and Shelley
bought one, and I bought one.
No,
separately,
Aaron,
not knowing.
No,
these were paid for.
No, Aaron, no. Shelley bought one. I sent one to you because you were in my shout out page of you helped me out with advice, and so I sent one to you for that.
Okay.
But all right. Aaron, you did not buy one from me.
I don't think I think I backed. I do think
you didn't. No, you didn't. Shelley did. I'm
going to go back and check.
Okay.
I'm going to go back and check, and but anyway, my point being is I keep finding all this stuff that I need to I need bookshelf space, right? You can see that stack of books back behind. There it is. That I just said, these I got to keep. These I can get rid of, right? And so I thought I should have, I used to do errand cons during the during COVID, right? And I would stream for 8 hours for 3 days straight and do sketches and the whole thing like that. And people are like, when are you gonna do another errand con? Well, I thought, what if I had an errand garage sale show? And I got all the stuff that the extra stuff I had, or that I couldn't keep anymore because my studio is just overflowing, and just had sort of like a garage sale show.
That'd be great, because you're gonna have good stuff.
Oh, look what I just did there. Okay, so anyway, there you go. Blue Boy's going, hell yeah, garage show.
That's cool, man. I mean, that's a great idea.
And I could put up for sale Wraith of God thank you letters, and Mickey could get one.
If you invite guests, I've got a lot of books I'd like to get rid of too.
So I would say Aaron's garage sale featuring Gary Martin. So we'd have a combined garage sale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
I like it. So it wouldn't be necessarily an auction, but you would set a low price on the book, and the first person that bought it would grab it. Right.
So you say, you can get this on eBay for $200, or you can buy it from me for $50, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I got a Wonder Woman omnibus that retails for $100. And I've got an extra one of those. It's not even been opened. I would sign it and say, anybody want this for $50? It's yours. Half price. That's garage sale prices. I think I'm going to do it. Look, Queen Mickey's I got a lot of books I want to get rid of as well. I don't know exactly what she's implying there. All right. So this is a drawing show by definition. So we should get rocking and rolling here. We've been in Evil One's words, wasting time for a good...
I know. We really been gabbing, guys.
Yeah, but it's good conversation. It's good fun. So we're doing Starlin. Dan, what are you going to do?
Adam Warlock.
Now, are you going to do the fancy Adam Warlock from the 70s with the?
I think I'm going to. I think I'm not going to do the cape. I think the other one, the sort of original.
Hang on a second now. Are you talking about the Gil Kane Warlock, or are you talking about the Jim Star? You can't do the Gil Kane. You got to do the Starlin.
Oh, I got to do Starlin. Oh, so that's the one with the cape. Okay.
Yeah, that's the fancy one with the cape.
Okay, I got that. I got reference up for that, baby.
Okay, all right. I am going to do. I set aside Captain Marvel for Andy, who rejected me completely and the show. To
snubbed us all.
He snubbed us for his own benefit. It's just. So I am going to do Captain Marvel. I'm not going to do.
You're doing Starlin's version, not Gene Colan's version.
Right. Now I kind of want to do Gil Kane's because Gil Kane had the shorter white hair, which I like, but I got to go with the longer yellow hair because that's Starlin. So more of that the 70s.
70s.
Cool. The one that I'm referring to was the cover that Gene Colan did, where he was like kind of in green, and he had this what do you call those butch haircuts? What are those called?
Yeah, and he had his helmet had a fin on it, and
yeah, and I was at a Comic-Con, my pre-professional days, and Starlin was there, and he referred to that cover as Gene Colan's Cosmic Marine.
Switching cameras.
Have I told the story of that was told to me by, was it Jim Starlin or someone like that? Not Jim Starlin, pardon me, Stranko, or someone that was sitting at the table with us when I was having dinner with Stranko, where Gil Kane stole some of Starlin's Captain Marvel artwork from Marvel, right? And they were at a convention, apparently in New York, I would assume. And Starlin walks up to this art dealer, and this art dealer has these Captain Marvel pages for sale. And Starlin goes, how did you?
Hey!
He goes, how did you get those? And the guy goes, well, that guy over there sold them to me. And Gil Kane is walking away. So Starlin runs down and confronts him, says, what the heck are you doing? And I guess Gil Kane's response was, well, you caught me, my boy. And then walked back over, rebought the pages back, gave the guy the money back, and gave them to Starlin. So as much as we love Gil Kane, he was a bit of a shyster.
He was a character. Yeah, definitely. So, and he cursed like a sailor.
And I was talking to David Williams, and he had a Gil Kane Captain Marvel splash page that he no longer has. And we were lamenting artwork that we used to have and no longer have.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if only we knew how much that stuff was going to be worth.
The best part of that story, the Gil Kane Starlin story that I like, is that he doesn't try to deny it. He doesn't. Yeah. He doesn't act befuddled. Like, oh, when you're caught.
Yeah.
He just owns it. He says, well, you got me.
You got me. Because back in the day, and you know this, Gary, Marvel, there would be stacks of pages sitting around the office, like outside an editor's door. There would be, or inside his office, there'd be a stack.
It was like that. It was like that at DC too.
No one was.
It was artwork everywhere. Yeah.
And you could just go in there, and if you were of the right mind or the wrong mind, you just go in there.
That's true. You could have just helped yourself. Yeah.
In fact, when I was breaking in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, when I was going up to the Marvel offices, there was still stuff laying around. And they had art returns at that point. And you could so easily have just swiped something if you were even remotely, inclined.
Oh, yeah, there was no security. And I would be hanging out at DC in an editor's office, and they weren't even there. They were like out to lunch or whatever. And so, yeah, I could have easily helped myself to the goods. Dave Manick was my first editor, and he was the editor for the DC's mystery books, like Unexpected and Ghosts, and
right.
And he had Wrightson covers in his flat files.
Oh God!
Those come in, and he knew Wrightson fan had come in and said, "Hey Gary, look at this."
Wow, and those things are worth so much now.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You think about how much money he had sitting in that thing.
Well, back then, it's like no one even really thought about it that way.
Right.
Because
they knew it was cool, but they didn't think of it in terms of cash value.
Well, the guys who thought it was cool grow up, got jobs, had career, then all of a sudden they got disposable income, so.
Yep. That's exactly what happened. But it's just amazing at how dirt cheap relatively speaking, that stuff was, even when they were selling it at shows and stuff. Because I remember, Wrightson's Color the Creature coloring book, right? That big format book he did.
Mm-hmm.
All the originals in that, I think, were like 12 by 18. I think they were bigger than 11 by 17.
They're bigger, right?
And he would sell those at shows, like he'd go to a New York con, right? And he would sell those original pages for, I want to say, a couple $100s. And this is in the 70s, right? Which back then would have been a lot of money, right?
Well, I think I saw, like, on an auction, one of those pieces for the coloring book, and it had like $250 marked in the corner, and I thought, no, that can't be right.
But it is. And
it probably was.
What he did with some of them was he would sell them, and then for extra money he'd say, okay, I'll color this for an extra $150 or whatever, right? So then you're paying Wrightson $400 for a 12 by 18 pencil inked and painted piece of original artwork that's probably worth 20, 30, 40 grand right now.
Yeah, or more.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember Scott Dunbar used to hang out at DC. He was an original art dealer, and before he got into editing, and I was inking Blue Devil, and he'd come by and say, "Oh, you get some Blue Devil pages, let me know." And he paid me $75 for the Blue Devil pages, and I was happy to get it.
Yeah, but back then, $75.
Yeah, now it's like if one of those pages comes up on eBay, I can't afford it.
Yep. Now, luckily for me, none of my artwork that's happened to any of my artwork, so I can still afford my work if I sold something. It usually comes up cheaper than what I sold it for.
Then you don't want it if it's.
Yeah, that's right. I'm a bad investment. That's Flady's.
So is that kind of like?
He's got a good point. He says, hang on a second, Dan. Flady says 250 in the early 70s was a used car in many areas. That's true. My dad bought my used car in 1980 for $500, and I drove that thing for several years. I'm sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
Is that like selling short in stocks? Like,
well, but that's what it was worth back then,
right?
We didn't. No one
had any idea. Yeah, we had no idea it would explode.
I mean, I remember being at a show and walking at years ago at San Diego when I went to San Diego. So we're talking a long time ago. There was an original at a original art dealer's hanging up on display. It was a Nestor Redondo pin-up of Swamp Thing and Man Thing fighting.
Oh, yeah, that is such a great piece. I've seen that piece.
It was, and it was $250. And at that time, I'm like, but I just couldn't pull the trigger because it was, I'm at a show and I'm trying to make some money, and for me, that was too much. But I mean, now $250 is nothing when you look at what you would be getting.
Well, that's the thing. You can't really get the stuff that you want to get anymore. So
right. Yeah, that's true. If you want it, you can't afford it.
But so sometimes if I find somebody new to the industry or whatever that I happen to like their stuff, and I think, maybe I should invest a couple $100 in this page because who knows,
Yeah.
But I'm saying about like selling short. So you would create a piece of art, sell it to someone, watch it go down in value, and then you buy it back cheaper, and you get the art and make money off it.
That's how I work. That's how my art works. Not everybody's does that.
It depends. The stocks can go up and down.
The only time, Aaron, what you're talking about, where I saw the potential of that was Sean Murphy.
Yes.
When I first started seeing his work at DC and the kinds of things that he was doing, I realized that he was going to be huge. And so I bought an original of his when I could afford it. If I tried to buy anything of his now, forget it.
Yep. Do you still have it?
Yeah.
Well, one of the guys I like, there's a couple guys, young guys compared to me. They're all young, but Jorge Jimenez or George Jimenez, however, he's Spanish.
I love that guy's work.
It's wonderful, but most of his stuff is digital. So like his Batman pages, you can't get like, you have to buy like a print of it, like a digital original, which is not to me an original.
Right.
And then there was another guy, another Spanish guy who was working on Avengers a lot. I really like his stuff. And I haven't really been able to, I don't know if I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I don't know if he's digital or not, but I haven't seen any of his artwork floating around either. But there are some guys that are still relatively affordable. And, but there's no idea if they'll blow up or not, but it's kind of like, you're not getting any Wrightsons and you're not getting any Barry Smith at this point. So
the chat is asking me to pull up that page. I don't have it scanned, and I'm not even sure where it is. So I don't want to leave the show to look for it.
It could be with
Aaron's Green Lantern.
We'll bring it next show.
Yeah, dig it up for next show. There you go, Gary.
But he was experimenting, and that became his style with his inking of some stuff, some dry brush techniques that I'd never seen before. And that's kind of his rendering style now. He uses dry brush, like crazy, but he uses it very creatively and different techniques that define his inking style now.
Well, we should have done is steal that Dale Keown Pitt page. That's
true, but we couldn't be talking about it though.
That's right. Everybody be going, man, I can't believe somebody stole that. So we'd be going, but we wouldn't be able to share it with anybody.
Oh, there's a stolen Pitt page somewhere?
No, if Gary and I could have stolen it, but we didn't.
We had our portfolios under our arms, and someone cause a distraction and the other one slip it in. But no, we're good Christian boys, and we quickly got those evil thoughts out of our head. But we've regretted it ever since.
Yeah, that's right. Because why couldn't I have been just like a rotten human being for just this one time?
Well, they say it's better to ask for forgiveness and then permission.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah, but forgiveness wouldn't count if we didn't return the artwork.
That's true. Oh. It would just be just pure thievery on a level only Bill Kane has known before.
I mean, when you go before God,
Yeah, that's true. Gil Kane, admitted that he did it and then returned the art. See, we would admit it, but not return the artwork.
So we're kind of like Gil Kane, but not exactly like Gil.
Exactly. Yeah. But it was. I had to literally put my hand over my mouth because I could feel the drool pooling. I could feel it building up. It was. So
this is Dale Keown's piece you're talking about. You guys were looking at that?
Yeah, it was a double page Pitt spread from Pitt #1. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
is it his work? His line work is just impeccable. Is it the drawing? What's your attraction to it? Like everything.
It was
the craftsmanship was off the planet. It was just mind-boggling how skilled he was, and we hadn't seen that much of his work. Then from the Marvel stuff to the Image stuff, he took a huge leap forward, and I'm assuming it's because he could spend more time on it.
Yeah.
Well, and also we hadn't seen him ink himself before, so he inked the Pitt stuff himself, didn't he?
Yeah, I was impressed when I saw that his ink.
And we were stunned because if you look at the comic, you go, he's using a pen, but we saw that he was not, in fact, using a pen, but he was using a brush.
Right.
And the originals, and it was just incredible.
Yeah. See, that always astounds me when I see someone proficient with a brush, and I've never seen them ink with a brush before, that all of a sudden they can, they've mastered it. And it took me years. So that always made me mad.
So he hates Dale. That's kind of what he was saying.
Henry Jeremek is saying, Gary, question, John Romita Sr. was inking. He would sometimes use a razor blade. Is he actually cutting directly into the page? Absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, he would dig the razor blade into the Bristol board and drag it, and it was tearing the paper. And so if you look at it closely, you see like little white spots. That's where the blade is kind of bouncing along and digging into it. Terry Austin did the same thing. I was hanging out with Steve Rude one time, and Steve decided to call. We were looking at, I think I told the story a while back on Graybeards. We were looking at one of Romita's artist editions, Spider-Man's, and we were sitting there looking at it together, and we were having all these questions. How do you do that? How do you do this? Here's some pages that somebody else had inked, but it had Romita isms in it, and so it looked like Romita got the pages back and had done some stuff like scraping with the razor blade. And so Steve says, okay, well, let me just call him up.
Mm-hmm.
So Steve had his number on his phone and, speed dialed him, and John's wife answers. Oh, hi. He had him on speakerphone. Oh, hi, Steve. How you doing? Oh. And so, it's like, oh, they're old friends, Steve and John Romita's wife. So is John around? Yeah, I'll get him. And then she yells out, John! Steve Rude's on the phone. So Romita comes up, answers the phone, and he talked to us for 45 minutes about the artwork in that artist edition. We would say, this one panel where Spider-Man is doing this, he's on this wall and he's doing this thing, and you had this, and before we finish the description of the panel, John would say, oh yeah, that's where I did this and I did that. He remembered. I mean, how many years ago did he do that?
That's amazing.
He remembered the specific panels that we were talking about and could tell us what techniques he used. And for the pages that were inked, I forget who the inker was on his first artist edition. There was a lot of it. He didn't ink that much of it, but he did. He said, well, make sure you look at the covers, because in that edition I inked all the covers in that edition, but not the interior pages. Apparently he had lent his copy out to someone and he didn't get it back. So he was recalling all this stuff by memory. So he would go into Marvel. Marvel would tell him that the pages came back, and he would go into Marvel and sit in the production room and monkey with the pages, with the X-Acto knives and inking,
Wait a minute. You talking about after it came back from the printer and he was still messing
the
with it?
inker.
Oh, the anchor. Okay, I got you.
Anchor finished, so a lot of that razor blade, long story short, a lot of that razor blade techniques he was doing himself over what somebody else had inked. And that's why a lot of that stuff looked like Romita had gotten his hands on it, because he did.
Well, let me, since we're talking about razor blade use, let me show something. Now, I got this from you, Gary, because I learned about the razor blade technique from you. Now, I know it's hard to tell here.
And I learned it from Terry Austin.
Okay, you see this, these scratchy edges right here,
yes.
and all this here, these red rough lines there.
Yeah,
that was scratched out with a razor blade on this cover.
Okay, we see like the edge by her elbow, kind of the bottom of that oval.
Yes.
How broken up that is, so that the paper is actually being torn.
Yep.
And to create that create that effect.
No, and what I would do on a lot of this stuff is I would leave a white area there when I was inking it, but then I would hit the edge with a razor blade to make it rough, because I was trying to go for this sort of 1960s McGinnis sort of paperback cover, thing what he used to do with his paints, and he always that kind of rough edge to it. And so that's what I did on the last two covers for Wonder Woman. And so, yeah, that's what I did here. I was just almost getting Sienkiewicz with this. You can't see it there, but there's a big crow in the background and the crow's head and everything. And it's all real rough around the edges of the crow. And I did that all with a razor blade.
Yeah, so I didn't do that much of the razor blade stuff because I cringed when the paper tore. And so I experimented with white, doing a dry brush effect with white out.
Well, that'll work too.
And that created the same look to it, and I wasn't, ripping up the paper.
Well, you did on that Lord Pumpkin Zero cover you inked for me. You did do the razor blade on the edges of the light shaft that's coming down.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I'd seen it.
Wouldn't now using that razor blade technique though, wouldn't that kind of could sort of destroy the art as far as the integrity, pick it up and it could fall apart? I mean, yeah.
Well, no, you're scratching you're not scratching all the way through, just deep enough to.
Yeah, I mean, you have to practice it. I don't recommend you just go at a finished drawing. You have to practice it.
Yeah, and I probably used an X-Acto knife and just laid it flat, the entire edge against
I still do that.
Okay, so you're just scoring it kind of.
Yeah, not using the point, but using the flat edge.
Yeah, and just scraping it so you get that rough edge.
So yeah, exactly. So you're scraping off a layer of ink. Yeah. I use that a lot on the Nexus stuff over Steve Root.
Yes, it doesn't really destroy the paper, or at least it.
Yeah, it roughs it up a little bit, but it's not as dangerous as
Dangerous Dan Lawlis.
gouging the paper with razor blade. Henry's asking, know any special tricks when inking? Terry Osler would grind down his nibs, then X and heated ink to make it thicker. I did have mentioned that I use different viscosities of ink depending on what I'm trying to achieve. So I have 3 different black levels. So extremely black, and that's ink that I've left with Higgins Black Magic. That's the brand that I use. Leave the cap off for a while and it gets really dark. And when I fill blacks in, that's what I use. When I'm doing delicate feathering, I'll use a watered down. So it's almost gray. Frazetta and Wrightson did that. And then just normal lines, I'll just use the regular ink out of the bottle. That helps a lot. So when the ink is thinner, you can, when you're doing delicate lines, you don't dip as often. The ink thinness of the ink, so it stays in the brush longer, and so you can keep at it for a while. Thicker ink doesn't last very long, so you have to dip often.
Right.
Speaking of trick. Like that stolen art, you think the Cane of the Golden Sea is ever going to surface the Frazetta piece?
The what?
The Cane of the Golden Sea, the one that was stolen. It's missing.
Oh, I didn't know that was stolen. That's a stolen piece?
Yeah, it's been gone for years.
Well, I'm sure whoever has it knows that the people are looking for it. So probably at his estate sale, it might surface.
Well, that's the same thing. The Jaws poster, the original art for the Jaws poster, which is also the original art for the book cover, has been stolen. So someone's got that. And I would say that's more significant than the Frazetta painting.
Yeah,
not to me.
I don't know. That Jaws painting's pretty iconic.
The painting, yeah. Queen Mickey is asking, where'd it go? Doesn't matter how thick the paper is. It doesn't matter how thick it is. It does matter how thin it is.
That's an excellent point. Because
Katie's asking in all caps, excuse me, in all caps, Aaron, when you gonna do indie cockfight? Do you know what she's talking about?
Yeah, there's some show where guys
Yeah,
where
Dark
you
Gift
go on
Comics.
there and they give you criteria of something you have to draw, and then it like they spin the wheel and it changes, and so you have to add stuff onto your drawing or something. It's apparently challenging for some people.
Yeah, well, they changed up. Gary, you gotta add a figure at a certain point, or you got to put your pen down and sit there for a few minutes if it falls on a certain category. So it's I think there's lots of categories to mess you up. So it's really I don't mind drawing it all online, but that one scares me.
It's funny when I'm trying to get people to draw on this show. I'm always like, come on, man, it's fun. And they're like, I don't want to draw for free, or I don't want to draw on camera. And then when someone asks me to draw on their show, I'm like, I don't want to draw for free. I don't, so I kind of
it's only so much of that you can do when you have to draw. You're drawing your own book and going on other people's shows and drawing for free.
Especially when they're making you draw weird stuff that
stuff that you wouldn't normally draw.
Well, I sold a couple pieces of from my drawings this past week, so I didn't draw for free. It worked out great.
Well, from that show, were you on that show?
From the past few shows, like I sold the thing.
No. I'm not talking about this show. I'm talking about a show like she's suggesting, where they're like constantly throwing stuff at you, and it becomes this weird amalgam of strangeness.
Then it's not saleable.
Yeah. But Dan, you bring up a good point. Pretty much everything that we show on this stream is for sale.
As far as I'm concerned,
people in the chat, if we hold something up, then it's probably for sale. Queen of Faye is asking, Garen, we know why Aaron chose to work on Sludge, but how did you end up on Sludge? I ended up on Sludge because Aaron asked me.
Yeah, here's what happened. I started at Marvel, and I wasn't happy with. Now, Grant, I wasn't a very good penciler, so it's easy to go, I wasn't happy with the inking, but I really felt like I needed somebody to do like. I was getting like really loose, kind of scratchy, crappy inking, in my opinion, and it didn't help my, shall we say, weak pencils. And so I was going to be taking over She-Hulk, and somebody had shown me Gary's stuff. I think it was that Paul Galassi Conan graphic novel, if I'm not mistaken. And so I met Gary at a con in Portland, and I asked him if he wanted to ink She-Hulk, because I said, this is what I need, someone who's really slick and can really make my pencils look refined and professional, which, I mean, I wouldn't have said that then, but I'm saying that now. And so then they pulled the John Romita Sr. said, no, this guy's not ready to do a series, which he was correct, but still pissed me off. So he took, after I'd been given the job, it got taken away from me.
That bastard, Romita.
Yeah. And, but then what happened was, about that time, Malibu came calling. And so I went with Malibu and just asked Gary if he wanted to ink Sludge. And that's kind of how it happened.
No, when you freelance, it's all about timing of how much work do you have? Do you have any work at all? That kind of thing. And for me, inking other people's work, and that's one of the reasons why I became an inker, is that I really love doing that, inking other people's work, especially if they're good. And so just looking at what Aaron was doing, I knew I was going to have fun. And so I probably took 5 seconds to decide.
Well, we actually did a promo She-Hulk illustration, if you remember.
Yes, I remember doing it. I don't remember what it looked like, but I remember
It was
doing
just her standing next to her little buddy, whoever her little buddy was.
Is anybody else hearing dinging?
Yes, I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
No, dinging. I heard a dinging sound.
Yeah, that was Gary dinging the dong.
I just want to make
Stealth X5 for $2. Thank you. He says waffles, pancakes, taco.
I ask because
Is that a burrito? That's a burrito.
A wrap. It's a wrap.
Okay, wrap. Apple juice, ice cream cone, chocolate chip cookie, and a glass of milk. Oh, I'm hungry now.
Yeah, me too. Why is she always does that at mealtime.
Aaron,
Katie,
I ask.
Okay.
Aaron, I ask because
Did you
sometimes
get the big one, Aaron?
I'm getting there. Go ahead, Dan. What were you
I
saying?
said I ask because sometimes I hear dinging and there's no dinging.
Oh,
No one's dinging.
Sequential artist for $50.
Thank you.
Smokes. Thank you very much.
Wow.
About art thievery and pages left lying about at the big two. Perhaps they were forgiving their own legalized thievery from their in-house creators by making those pages available, in quotes, to anyone willing to take them, a kind of restitution.
No,
I don't think they had a conscience at all about
yeah,
that.
you're
Sorry.
overthinking that. Returning artwork was not anybody's responsibility. It's like they didn't have anybody assigned to do it, and they didn't know what to do with the artwork. I mean, that's how they thought. It was just, stuff lying around. They didn't think of it that, the artist might want it back.
Yeah,
It was just stuff lying around, and they didn't know what to do with it. And until it became a thing where they actually assigned someone in the art room to organize it and to ship it and all that. But for years, they didn't have any system, and
Yep. And it would eventually get
editors didn't
rolled out.
want to do it. They didn't have any assistants, running around, and so it was just it. That's why it piled up, because they couldn't be bothered with it. So that's how little they thought of the artwork.
Right. And it ended up at a warehouse someplace in New York, at least according to Stranko, about his story about how he finagled his way in there to get his originals back before they were returning them. And they didn't have any plans for him, but they wouldn't give him back either. It was kind of like,
exactly. They didn't have plans to return it, but they felt somehow the artist didn't deserve the artwork, even though they had no plans for it.
Right.
So it just showed their convoluted morality.
Well, they felt they bought it. They thought they paid you for it. It's theirs.
Well, right. They thought they paid you, so it was theirs, even though they had no reason to keep it.
Right.
And no, because to them it wasn't worth anything. I'm sure if they thought they could have sold it and made money, they would have.
Right. Yeah.
But and I think it was, Shooter takes credit, and I don't know if he actually is the guy that implemented getting the artwork returned, or if maybe it was somebody like Neil Adams, because Neil Adams was a big advocate for it for a long time.
Right. He complained about that for years.
So I don't know what finally made the dam break. I do know that that Shooter was probably the first guy to do it, but I don't know his motivations.
Yeah.
Because I've you hear the story that he did it because, he wanted to be friendly to the creators and all that kind of stuff. But then I've heard stories that's not why he did it, that there was another reason that was sort of somehow beneficial.
They didn't do anything that wasn't self-serving.
Yeah. I think it was as part of negotiating. It might have been to keep Kirby from suing them. Now that I think about it, I can't remember exactly what that
could have been a factor. Yeah.
Because Kirby was trying to get his originals back for years.
Yeah.
And which is bizarre to me, because you would have thought in the freewheeling, especially early 60s, that Stan would have just given it to him. I was like, here we got our photo stats of these. We don't need them anymore. Goodbye, why pay a storage unit, a warehouse in New York to house all this stuff, and you just give it back to the guys who drew it?
Well, I think it's just the way they thought about it, that they didn't consider the artwork belonging to the artists. They considered the artwork belonging to the company.
Right.
And so they didn't, the idea of giving the artwork, they thought they were losing money somehow, that they're ending up on the short end of the stick if they gave the artwork to the artists, that they would be losing something, even though they had no plans for the artwork. It just, the concept of, well, we can't give this to them. We should be doing something with it. That kind of thing.
Yeah, we paid for it. Why should we give it back to them?
Right.
Even though and so, but I do think that it ended up being part of some sort of negotiating plan from Marvel's standpoint.
Right.
To give it back.
They thought of some angle.
And I can't say what it was, because they still will not sit there and say that the artwork is owed to us. They give it as a compensation, as a
goodwill gesture.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was like, oh, look how,
it's like royalties. They don't owe us royalties. Okay. They're giving us incentives.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't call it. Yeah. They don't call it royalties.
Evil One for 5. Never found help with art. Trying to find a teacher wasted my time. Comics are dying anyway, so I'm glad I found cinematography. Y'all are a dying breed. Wow, that's so positive, Chris. Thank you so much.
Evil One. If we're a dying breed, then pony up more than $5.
That's right, because we need it, pal.
We need the dough.
That's right.
You picked the right career.
No, you're right. No, I mean, you're right. Comic art is a dying art. It really is.
However,
and especially, let me get on my high horse. Especially the craft of inking is that most people who are in comics don't ink. They're tracing their pencils with marking pens, and that's not inking.
Woo! Look out.
Yeah. Okay. So if we want to continue that subject at a later date, I'd be happy to apply. So you see all these YouTube knuckleheads showing how to redraw their pencils with, kit pens. It's like, that's not inking.
Yeah, if you're not bringing anything to it with the
ink, they're just, it is tracing. That's all they're doing. So someone like Ethan, who uses those pens, his pencils are, barely there.
Yes.
And he's doing most of the heavy lifting in the inking stage.
Right.
That's inking.
Yes. Because you're.
Yeah. And Aaron, you're doing the same thing. You're not drawing everything in there. You're making a lot of choices in your inking stage.
Right. And that's, line weights or how you lay down those lines are all part of that.
Right.
And if you're reproducing the line exactly as the penciler did, then you are just tracing it.
Right. And then also the difference with crow quills and a brush is the type of line that you can achieve that you can't get with modern pens. And that's talking about dying art, where you look at the older comic art. We're talking about Romita, looking at those artist editions. The craft that those guys had with those tools is just astounding. And that art, that craft is gone, because nobody wants to learn it anymore.
Yeah, it's comics are on life support. Of course, they've been on life support a million times before and somehow managed to keep surviving. So it'll be interesting. Is crowdfunding the way to keep comics alive, or is this just slowly sinking ship with the rest of it. I don't know.
Oh, I don't think so. I think crowdfunding is the answer.
Well, I'm with Aaron. There's a lot of problems with crowdfunding. So unless it improves, I don't think it is the answer.
Well, the thing is, when I was in comics,
I think it is right now. It is an alternative, but I'm not convinced that it's the answer.
When I was in comics, the thing that was frustrating, the thing that one of the reasons it was easy to leave, not just because I just wouldn't make enough money, but was there was no time and money. There was no time to do the best work. And crowdfunding is the possibility now exists to take a book and work on it for 6 months or a year and make a living still from it.
The problem with what you're saying, Dan, is that everybody doesn't get that scenario. There's only a handful of people that get that scenario.
Well, that could change.
That crowdfunding don't get 6-figure campaigns.
Yeah, it's why you got to make them good.
Do not get 6-figure campaigns.
You got to make them good. That's
the possibility is still there.
Sure. That's the challenge.
Also, there's a lot that we don't, realize is how many times do people flake out on their campaigns?
Yeah. So for the backer side of it,
right.
So the backer side of it, it's a gamble. You give somebody money and hope that they finish it and send it to you.
Well, that's why you pick people who are, got a track record.
Yeah.
Right.
If you don't back someone's first book, that's understandable. See how they did. If they are coming through, then maybe you get the second one.
But I've seen people post online, like a Twitter or whatever, that they got screwed over by so-and-so, never got their book, they're done with crowdfunding, which doesn't mean they won't necessarily buy it after the fact on your website or whatever else, but they're certainly not going to back a campaign because they've been screwed over.
Yeah, but no, Dan, I hope you're right. I hope crowdfunding is the answer. I don't think it's the answer right now. I think it has the potential.
Well,
but
yeah,
it is not there yet.
It's got potential, big potential.
Yep, it does.
Because you'll get someone, looking at a book like I just, a while back, I got that Black Sad. You guys know what that is?
No.
Oh, you got to see it. It's a guy, he draws anthropomorphic, that's, gosh, that word's tough, but.
Well, this topic, but I'm sorry to interrupt you, Dan. The chat's going crazy. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dan. Finish.
Anyways, it's great. It's a great book. Now he can't do that at all on a monthly scale ever.
Right.
So, but if you give him 6 months or a year, he can do that book for you, and it's beautiful. And that's what I'm hoping it's going to bring back. Crowdfunding is going to bring back people who want to do something like a Bernie Wrightson's Frankenstein. And
well,
stuff
see,
like
it's a twofold thing: the responsibility of the artist to put that much work into it, and then it's the responsibility of the backers to see that the artists have done that and to support them.
Right,
and
it's got to be a change.
That's a big, so it's a big responsibility for both parties, for the artist and for the backers, because sometimes somebody will put their heart into it and produce something amazing and not get the attention it deserves.
Yep.
Well, this is the biggest problem with crowdfunding that I see is I still believe that in order for a property to be successful, it has to be regular. It has to be out there all the time for people to read continuously. And if we're doing like I've been working on Wraith of God now for 4 years, and I'm on my 3rd issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now these are graphic novels. Obviously, they're not monthly books, but I think people can get bored or waiting for something and move on to something else. And that's the difficulty with crowdfunding. You can't really turn out a monthly book.
Yeah. And plus, people are used to getting something, at least monthly. because that is like, if you love a comic, I remember as a Ute,
Yep.
being thrilled when I knew, like the comic that I was buying on a regular basis had come in, and make a trip to the comic shop to get it.
Yeah.
And that month wait was, that wasn't easy. So if you're waiting, months, in some cases years, that's tough. Oh.
Rand Arrington for 20. Thank you very much, man. I very much appreciate that. I think it'll eventually be the answer. I think artists need to cross brand with each other to increase their brand penetration. I get that, but again, you're still talking about a time problem, right? So if I go to Graham Nolan and I say, Graham, let's take, I don't have anything that would cross over with something he's doing, but let's say I wanted to do Wraith of God meets Shanu, right? So then I cross over. So how much, and let's say he lets me do it, right? And then I write the script, and then he's got to go over, and when we agree on everything, but then how much of that money that the campaign raises do I now owe Graham for using his character? He's not going to just let me use the Shanu and take all the profits, or do we do a situation where I do my version of it and he does his version, but maybe that's not what he wants to do right now. Maybe he's got plans to do something else. And because the fact is that we're not a company with a bunch of people working for us, so we can say, we're doing this month, you're drawing it, you're writing it, go. It's all us doing it. It's almost impossible to do crossovers, because then we'd have to take a step away from what we were planning on doing to do this crossover event that essentially we're doing it as a crossover event, but it's not really maybe what my goal is for any of the IPs that I have. It's just a sales thing, right? It's easy to do that if you're a company, but if you're a single creator, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, and if you're combining properties, let's say you have a Graham title and your title in one book, two separate stories, you're doing half as much and you're putting out more product, but it ends up being the same amount. And so you're not.
Right, because you're splitting the money.
Right.
So like in any business arrangement, it's got to work for both parties. And that's kind of the challenge, I think, with this.
Yeah. So it's like in that scenario, you'd be getting half as much, but the work would come out twice as fast.
Right. So what are you gaining by doing it?
Right.
Now, maybe in the long term, you're right, Rand. You're gaining the fact that, we're now becoming like our own, like CG then becomes like Marvel, right? Where all these books are connected. And so even though they're not, they're different titles doing their own thing, they're still connected to one another in the same universe type thing. And I do know that fans and readers like that sort of universe connectivity, but it's really, really difficult to do when you've got separate creators all with their own ideas of what they want to do with their own IP. Right. And they're generally not. The only time you do a crossover is like, I got to do another issue of Wraith of God, but I have no ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm gonna hook up with
somebody else's universe.
Right, exactly, and do it, which would be, it's fun for the readers, but it's not as desirable for the creators, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
A problem too with just with this, you're saying the ideal is to have these books coming out more regularly. I think that might not work because they're $25 books, and if they came out too regularly, nobody can afford that.
Yeah.
Right. No, I agree.
But if I'm going to buy Aaron's book this year, or for the next 6 months, well, yeah, I can put out $25 for that. But if you had 5 or 6 $25 books, I'm like, oh wait a minute, this is I can't afford that. So it's really, I think this is why I think it's going to work.
But you're talking about graphic novels, though. That's not
Yeah, well, that's kind of what these are. I think most of these are.
I think anything
books.
Over 50 pages is a graphic novel.
Yes, and that's what I think. I think that we're moving towards quality. You're going to buy it's, you're not going to be getting that monthly as much. You're not interested. You're interested more in, because you've got so many comics out there you could buy back issues of and just keep yourself busy. If you were interested just reading comics, there's so much now. But what's people, I think the demand, I think it exists out there is a demand for excellent books, really, really beautifully drawn stuff.
Yeah,
Well,
I
it's-
hope you're right.
Getting in front of enough people to make a difference too is the problem. And we all think we have this great reach, but we really don't. And that's the biggest problem, is getting enough people to see it, because I think the number of people that actually back a project that see it is really, really low. It's like less than 5%. So in order to do well, you've got to get your book out in front of so many people that those odds will catch up with you, and you can sell a big enough number to actually do it.
Yep. Well, that's why I say it's got to be good. If it's really, really good, people start to talk,
Right. But it might be, I mean, like I sit here and think, I've been doing Wraith of God for 4 years, and then I'll go to a show and I'll run in, 90% of the people at the show have never even heard of it. Right.
That's why you might want to do shows,
I know, but
No, so comic conventions are not a good venue to promote projects.
Evil One for $2 says, give me a break. Vets won't let the new blood shine. I disagree with that, Chris. First of all, it's not necessarily our responsibility to promote other people's books when we're scrambling, just trying to promote our own.
Yeah, we're all.
I have never met another professional that when they saw somebody's work that they really, really liked, or a project that they really, really liked, that they wouldn't,
see, that's part of the comic art community, is that all artists got into comics because of other artists working in comics. And so by getting critiqued and hooked up with editors and because that's how we got into it. And so that culture has stayed in it. And so when we see a talented artist, we like to talk about them and help them, because that's how we got into it. And so I've never seen a working professional see a new artist and try to, cover their light, try to block their
yeah, I don't see how you could do that either, really. But
no, you can't.
The thing
But
is,
it's part of the comic art culture, is that's how we got into it, and so we feel obligated to do that, to pass the torch. So
Right.
there isn't any of that.
the problem
There is, like, we don't feel obligated to help someone that we don't think they're ready, or we don't think their work is professional. And they may disagree with that,
right.
and that's okay. But if we don't think their work is professional, we're not going to blow their horn.
That's the thing. And I think that's completely fair, because Marvel wouldn't hire me until they thought I was good enough to draw Marvel books, right? And that was sort of an expectation. Now, not everybody agrees with where they're at and where maybe I think they're at, or Gary thinks they're at, or whatever, right? But that's a consideration for us. And a guy that's a perfect example is Von Klaus. He's a writer, but he hires really good artists. He did Monster MD and some other, and did Black Terror. His books looked good and they're a good read. So he started gaining steam, and people are promoting him because the stuff is good. And I'm not saying, because I don't want to insult anybody and say, well, if your project was any good, we'd promote it or whatever. But we promote stuff that we like and that we think is valuable. And if you're still putting your skills together, you're not there yet. You can't expect to be on Ethan's show and things like that regularly. I mean, that's just reality. I mean, there is a competition.
And plus, when you're talking about artwork, if the work is not professional, but you're trying to promote it, then you're saying things about the work that you would say to someone who's, like someone who's not professional. You end up using the same adjectives if you were describing Dale Keown's work. oh, this is great. You should buy this book. It's wonderful. And then you say the same thing about Dale Keown. It's like, well, wait a minute. The language becomes tainted. And so if you're saying the same thing about someone who's really, their work is amateurish as, someone as good as Dale, because the language that you use to promote something, you use the same kinds of words to describe it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things Ethan ran into in the beginning of the Comics Day was, he had all these people coming and backing him, and he was overwhelmed because his career was saved, and he was overwhelmed with gratitude. And so his attitude was, "Hey, you backed me, you promoted me, I'll promote you." And then he realized that after a while he couldn't do that because people would get these books, these $25 books in the mail, and go, "This is not any good." And then they would no longer trust Ethan's opinion. He has to be, so he really doesn't have any choice, and we don't really have any choice either, but to promote what we think is really good.
Right.
And because if we do, then we lose our credibility, and then no one believes us anymore. So I try to be careful. And if I'm going to promote someone who's just has like an amateur quality book that is, they just want to get their book made, and that's what they're not really, doing it for a living, I'll say so. I say, okay, this guy's book is it's a great idea. It's fun. He's trying to get this book made. It's not, if you want to just make someone, his dream come true kind of thing, that's why I would say it. Just be honest. In other words, I think that's the key. So when people they know what you're getting. They know, because you can't say something's good if it sucks,
The problem though is now there's a gray area between amateur and professional. Professionals know the difference because once you become a professional, you see the difference in your own work compared to when you were an amateur. There's a huge gap, and the knowledge, the eyes, being able to see the difference you acquire when you're doing it professionally. It's a level that you achieve in a lot of different areas, and part of it is your perception of art in general. And when you're an amateur, a lot of amateurs aren't there yet, and they don't have the eyes to see the difference. And so they don't understand the concept of amateur and professional. So they don't know the difference. And professionals know the difference, but a lot of amateurs don't because they don't have the eyes yet to see it.
And I'm not sitting here saying that, if you've got a project that and you believe in it, that you shouldn't go for it. But that's the beauty of the independent market is anybody can do it.
Right.
But then it's incumbent upon you to figure out ways to sell it. Now, we coming in having a 30-year career in the industry have an advantage, obviously, because a lot of people already know who we are. And so they say, oh, yeah, he did Planet Hulk or whatever. And you guys that are starting out don't have that advantage. And I understand that. But it's no different than when I broke in at Marvel and they kept telling me, get out of here, kid. You keep at it until you get better. And then eventually you get your break, hopefully. But that's not to say there isn't a Teenage Ninja Turtle project out there either. Where you'd never catch me saying Eastman and Laird are good artists. Okay. But they're
you wouldn't catch me saying that either.
But they're way more successful than I am.
But their concept was
great.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, and so that's not to say that you don't have that concept, but just because I just want to make it clear that no one is standing in the way of anybody, from being successful with their independent comic. You can't expect everybody to support your book if they don't see it the same way you do. But that still isn't stopping you from, finding ways to promote it on your own without so-and-so help. But no one's doing it out of animosity and saying, oh, I don't want this guy to succeed. I don't want that new guy to succeed.
Right. Yeah. And I've never heard a professional do that ever in my entire career.
Yeah. When we find somebody,
and it's mostly, when we see somebody, like we're at a show and professionals are gathered together, and we see someone, a new person, new artist, we're talking about him. Did you see that guy? Yeah, he's great. I mean, we're excited.
So,
yeah, if you do something really good, it's just self-evident. Everyone will say it. Everyone.
Well, professionals see it.
Well, no, I'm saying even the amateur, I mean, even the fans, if you do it something really good, it just cannot be denied. It cannot be stopped.
Yeah, there's plenty of examples of guys that, Marvel wouldn't hire, that went out and said, okay, well, I'm going to do it on my own, and were successful.
Yeah.
So, but it always comes back to you and your willingness to, what are you willing to sacrifice? And, ultimately, talent is an issue, and how good your IP, all those things are issues that you really can't qualify until you go out and do it and see what the response is.
Speaking of that, you know what, you guys, I'm not so good at writing something in Valentine's cards.
Before you get into that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, was there Stealth X5 for $2 says, great piece, Dan. Apparently he doesn't like mine. That's okay though. I can live with that.
Okay.
Glitch says, I think Aaron's talking is drowning out Gary's musical instruments.
Yeah. So Dan, you're talking about Valentine's Day card ideas.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot all about
I got my
Valentine's
card.
Day.
I got a card here. I'm ready, and I want to write something in it. And I was working on some ideas, and you guys, I gotta say, I don't think I got this down. I don't think I got the knack, but I'm gonna run past you my ideas, and I want to see. Just give me your reaction. Mind you, this is just first draft, brainstorming.
The chat help us out here.
Yes, I would be appreciative if they could help us out for the feedback. Because I want to just say I love you, blah blah. I want to say something a little extra. So my first, let's see, what's the first one I got here? You guys ready for this? Okay, this is for my wife, obviously. You're my favorite wife so far. 0 complaints. Thoughts? Or how about you're doing great? 0 complaints so far.
You're opening wait a minute. You're opening the door for another wife in that statement.
Oh, yeah,
yeah. I might reconsider that one. The so far part, I think. What else have you got?
Well, up to that point, okay. That's the next one. Up to this point, everything has been great. No issues at all.
Sorry.
So there you go again. Up to this point.
Yeah,
that's where we're at, right?
Yeah, well,
no, but that's not how she would see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I have no reason to believe that things won't continue to be great with you.
You have no reason. What was that? Can you read that again?
Hang on a second.
Please read that.
I'm not sure, okay. Dan, you're in touch with your. Go ahead.
I have no reason to believe that things won't continue to be great with you.
Okay, see, there you go. The vagaries. You have no reason to believe.
Well, how about okay? This one's. I have some ones about love. Okay, here we go. I really love you most of the time, more or less.
Sorry, I know you're trying, Dan.
More or less is definitely
maybe too honest.
Yeah, definitely rolling pin over the head material.
All right, wait. Okay, then you don't like that one. I really love you all the time, except on rare occasions.
I don't know that you need to qualify that. You probably, if you're going to say you love somebody, just
all the time, though.
Plus it's contradictory.
I love her all the time, except on rare occasions.
No, you can't say all the time, except. Oh, that's a contradiction.
Okay. If I was in love with you, I'd feel exactly the way I feel towards you right now.
Oh, wow. That is the worst.
Oh, damn.
That
is the absolute worst.
That hurts. That's not much.
All right. Well, I don't know. This one might not be any better. I love you the way most guys who love their wives love them.
Like, Dan, you might as well like give her a Cuisinart for Valentine's Day.
All right.
right.
Wait a minute. Give me that one again. I love you as much as.
I love you the way I love you the way most other guys love their wives, love them.
No, that could be
So
the
guys
worst.
who love their wives, I
That
love
could
them.
be the worst one.
Okay, really?
No, I don't know. I think it's confusing enough that you might get away with it.
Oh,
But-
okay, yeah, that's a
you
good
know,
point. She might be completely befuddled by that one.
But that's probably not good, right? Confusion is
No.
not particularly good. Okay.
Well, if they take it the wrong way, then yeah, confusion's not good.
How about
Okay, go
you're
ahead.
perfectly adequate, you fill the bill.
Eric Boyd says, "Is Dan getting divorced?"
Yeah. No, see, Dan,
No, not at all.
if you're trying to compliment your wife, absolutely avoid the word adequate.
Okay. How about you made the cut and then some? Like that's a fuck.
That's
You
actually
made the cut.
better. That's
That's
better.
awesome.
You think that,
No, see, these are all divorce lawyer.
yeah. I was wondering if yeah.
All right. I really don't think that I could have done better than you considering the circumstances.
No, see, Dan, she could use all of this stuff in the divorce settlement against you.
I guess I'm not. I swear I don't have the knack. How about just you're a great wife, just great.
Oh, she wouldn't buy that at all.
Wait. Yeah, that sounds like something Katie did might say. You know, you're a great husband, just great.
All right. How about
That just-
I can't imagine a more perfect woman for you, even though I've tried.
I think that there maybe if you phrased it like I tried and you're the now
Maybe I should just cut it out. I can't imagine a more perfect woman for me, and leave out the even though I've tried.
yeah.
No, yeah, leave off that part.
Yeah, because maybe it's insinuating that you tried after the fact, which would not be good.
How
Yeah,
about okay?
Yes, Chad, I
Ready
know
for-
they're super chats, but Dan is on, he's doing his thing.
Are you ready for the next one?
Yes.
You measure up to other women very well, or extremely well. I'm not sure which adjective.
See, that's another slippery slope when
Yeah.
you're comparing your lovely
Extreme.
wife with other women.
Yeah, but if you said extremely well, that's kind of complimentary, I think.
Okay, this one's probably not going to work at all then.
Look, wait, hang on a second. Katie's chiming in. You're a great artist, Aaron. Just great. See, it doesn't work. It just seems a little disingenuous.
Having checked out other women, you're really great in comparison, especially in your age bracket.
Wow. Okay. The opening statement, you're gonna get a sock in the eye.
Yeah, the age.
Having checked
But
out
isn't that
other
like
women,
compliment? You're
having
very-
checked out other women, that's like
Hmm.
that's that's ringing the dinner bell for violence.
How about you're the most beautiful woman in the world based on your age and family genetics?
Maybe too specific. Maybe you'd want to just stop with "you're the most beautiful woman in the world" and don't.
Yeah, I feel like I
qualify.
blow it. I feel like I start out good and then boom,
Yeah.
Okay, how
You're
about
qualifying everything? Yep.
you are very beautiful, I think anyway.
Might as well say, despite what other people think.
Yeah, I know that's an implication that someone else thinks differently than you do, and I don't know if you want to go down that
Well,
road.
I think I would disagree with them, yeah.
Well, that's not the issue.
I don't think your wife wants to know that there's other people out there that don't think she's attractive.
That could be that's not good actually. Not in a card anyways.
Yeah.
In a blind taste test with other women, I'd pick you every time.
That's not bad. That may be your best one.
Really?
Yeah, but it's still that you're basically asking her to kiss other women.
No.
No,
Read it
no.
again, Dan. Read it
If
again.
I have the blindfold on and I'm kissing a lot of women, I'd pick her.
But you're asking her permission to kiss other women.
Oh, permission, yes. Okay.
Rand Darrington says, I can't believe Dan is still alive. Yeah,
Let's see.
these are...
So again, I think this is not working, this one. In a side-by-side comparison with other women your age, you're really considered by most to be great.
Dan, go with that one.
I can't believe my luck in finding you, having been so desperate to find someone.
Wow.
It's like all of these, Dan, they're almost there. It's just so
That's
close.
what I feel like. I feel like I just don't have that finesse, you know?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. To kind of finesse the yeah.
Okay, how about I couldn't have settled for a more perfect wife?
Okay, that's my favorite so far. How many of these do you have?
There's about four or five more here.
Okay.
There's four more actually. I finally become convinced that you're the perfect woman for me. I finally become convinced that you're the perfect woman for me.
Yeah, you've got too many words in that.
Or how,
No,
okay,
I think you're on the verge of actually having something there.
Yeah, finally, no, you can't say that.
Yeah, that's the final.
How about then? This one's a little shorter. I've convinced myself that you're the love of my life.
Dan, I say this with all sincerity. I really, really hope and pray your wife doesn't watch this show.
Okay, there's only one. This is the last one. Okay? I think this one could be the winner.
Okay.
You're not that bad at all.
That's it?
Yeah.
Is there like a happy Valentine's Day, honey? I love you. You're not that bad at all. Or is it just straight up, you're not that bad at all?
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, I don't know.
Dan,
It's a work in progress. I'm still working.
Yeah, I would continue to work on it and perhaps get some professional advice before you unleash one of those.
Yeah.
I think I'm going with right now. Just you are a great wife. Just great.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, given our choices so far, I think that's probably the closest.
Well, yeah. Based on your choices.
Okay. All right. Well, that's helpful, you guys.
Let's do this.
Yeah, let's change gears here. Flady1 says, burn your notes, Dan. Katie did is OMG, Dan, with her hand on her face. Eric Boyd says, I think Dan took marriage advice from Don Rickles. Oh, my gosh. Evil One says, I see couples counseling in Dan's future.
You guys, now you know what she's got to put up with.
Old Dirty Fatty says, I don't care if you make children cry. I love you. Oh, God. Was there a super chat I missed there?
Yep.
Let's see. I'm waiting for Dan. Oh, wait a minute. We're back here. Oh, no, we're here. No, we're here. No, we're here. Oh, my gosh. I missed a ton. That was a cross thing. Give me a break. Vets won't let new blood shine. Okay, we did that one. Then Evil One followed that up with boutique books only sell for so long. I agree. IPs help. My friends in the industry suffer underneath all the tyrants of the industry, cutthroat and small now.
Yeah. But, has it really changed that much, though? The industry, it's always been kind of cutthroat, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, to suggest that it's cutthroat in the indie market is just, it's no different than, yeah, it is, because you're fighting for shelf space, so to speak, right? If a customer only has X amount of dollars to spend, do I want him to spend it on Andy's book or do I want him to spend it on mine?
But yeah, that's always been the issue, is that the comic shops selling books, and the customer goes in with a budget. They can only get 4 books. Are they going to buy some new indie book where the artwork is not nearly even close to being similar to professional work, no, they're going to buy their X-Men. They're not going to buy, Laser Boy.
Yeah.
And that's always the case, is people have budgets and they don't just say, oh, there's an extra book, I'm going to buy it. It's a financial choice, and they will usually go with what they know and love.
Right.
And
think about this.
That's why the successful indie book is so difficult, is that they're fighting against that.
And think about this, and I'm just as guilty as anybody. And we'll go back to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I would not even considered buying that book if I saw it on the newsstand. But then 6 months later, everybody's talking about how great it is and everybody's buying it. You can't find a copy. Now, suddenly, I'm interested in buying that book. That's kind of what happens, right? So you're dealing with...
In rare cases.
Right. It's the same way with The Tick. I saw the drawing and I was like, eh. But then everybody started talking about, oh, it's so funny and blah, blah, blah. So then I would go back and try and find the issue because I was convinced by other people. Not just my opinion of it was, this looks amateurish, I'm not going to buy it. But then suddenly it's a big thing and you start to change your opinion about it. So there's also that.
I was never swayed. That's like my first impression is like, eh. And then someone would say, oh, it's, this is great. And I look at it again and I still say, eh.
Well, like I never bought Cerebus, but everybody was talking about it. And I got to a point where I was kind of like, maybe I should get this. I don't know that I ever did, but
no, I never told myself that.
Okay. Stealth X5 for $2. Great piece, Dan. Oh, yeah, we already did that.
Yeah.
Stealth X5 for $2. Great work, Aaron. Thank you.
There you go.
And then Stealth X5 for $1, just for
me.
$1, which is my favorite kind of money. For $2, Evil One says, happy to fire you up. Missed my $5, Gary. I'm broke. Missed. I got it though. I went back and got it.
Yeah. So no, I mean, Dan was on a roll. I wasn't going to interrupt him.
Yeah.
Best name I can think of for $2. I'm waiting for Dan to say, you're all right. How do you say it? You're
right.
You're all right.
Yeah, we need David Williams in here to pronounce that.
Yeah.
Flady1 for $4.99. Dan, try this on your best Neil Gaiman voice. Roses are red, violets are blue. Get your butt upstairs, because I'm sure you can finish that on your own. Geek Avenger for 10 big ones. Hail chat, hail mods, hail Graybeards. You're all beautiful savages. Hashtag free Tina.
Is that a thing now? Hashtag
yeah, it is.
Tina McDonald?
Rand Arrington posted earlier in the chat, I was going to read it and I forgot, said that he missed the Tina story, the tarantula story. So we're not going to revisit it. But
no, I'm not going to retell that story. I think you just go back to that episode and watch it, and let me, instead of me retelling it. I think.
No, this is also true. Art of Roy says, I bought a lot of older indie books mostly because I'm looking for comedy from indies, not great art. So again, it depends on why you're buying it.
Okay, so he's looking for the writing, and
which is legit too.
Yeah.
So but since it's a visual medium, the first thing people see is the artwork. And if they don't like the artwork, it's more difficult to get them to pick it up, because how are they going to know it's a good read, right? Unless they hear it from somebody else. But that is a good point.
So actually, that might be a good cover blurb. Yes, the art stinks, but the writing is awesome.
Do you guys remember Animal Man when Grant Morrison was writing it and Boland was doing the covers?
Yep.
Yeah.
Talk about bait and switch.
But the insides.
Yep, that's what I mean.
And people, I don't want to disparage the artist, but the people were buying it because Grant Morrison's story was so great, but I could not pick it up because I didn't like the art.
Yeah,
see, I had never ever bought or read a comic book because of the writing.
I haven't either. If I didn't like the art, like I didn't buy, well, that's not true, because I bought Dark Knight Returns, but I didn't initially because what Frank Miller was doing, I just didn't get it. Didn't work. But eventually people talked me into getting it, and then after reading it, I did like it better.
Yeah, see, I couldn't get past the artwork, so I never got it.
Hey, is there a Gary's gripe? What's the thing?
Gary's gripe.
I was gonna say, let me say real quickly, you guys, we have a huge audience right now. I really appreciate it. And I'd appreciate if you hit the like and subscribe if you have not done so for this channel. We'll be having good guests. As soon as David comes back from his hiatus, we're going to start having some big guests. Or we're going to at least try if I can convince him to come on and draw. So this is a great Wednesday, a great way to spend your Wednesday afternoon. So please hit the like and subscribe. It does help this channel grow. Appreciate it very much. Sequential artist for 5. Suggestion for Dan. Dear wife, I love you more than my favorite pencil.
Yeah, that's not bad. Not bad.
This is Dan. Signed. This is Dan. I love that. This is Dan.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to tell her who the Valentine is from.
Although she probably could figure it out.
Geek Avenger for $5. I bought Doctor Strange for the stories because they're weird. Okay. But was there ever really a bad Doctor Strange artist?
There were, but there were a lot of great ones.
That's like one of those weird books because I think a lot of artists thought it was interesting to draw. So you had guys like Kevin Nolan, Michael Golden, Rudy Nebres, Frank Bruner, Jim Starlin. You just go down the list. Barry Smith did some of that.
And me, I did.
And yeah.
And Dan.
Yeah, although it wasn't my best. I tell you, I was just starting out. I cringe sometimes when I look at that stuff, but.
All right. Hey, it's time for Gary's Beef, but we do have some new intro videos and some clips. I'll probably use one more or two more before the end of the show, but here we go. Let's take a look at the new intro for What's Gary's Beef.
What's Gary's beef?
Oh my gosh, that is so awesome! You got a puppet. You got a puppet.
That's the debut of Little G.
Wow,
folks, you can't get this anywhere else. I'm telling you. StealthX5 says for $2, you missed my last super chat. Did we?
Did we?
You went through a lot of them. You brushed through them pretty fast.
Stealth, I got yours for $1. And then Aaron, great work. Thank you for that. And then Great Peace Dan. Those are your last 3. I think we got them. All right, Dan, go ahead. And I did your food one. Yeah, we got all of them, Stealth. But thanks for the extra money. Gary, what's your beef?
My beef this week is women basketball coaches.
Uh-oh.
Many of you know that I coach a junior high boys basketball team. It's a youth league in Camas, which is east of Vancouver, where I live. And a couple of weeks ago, I had a game, and their coach was a woman. And pre-game routine, I go over and shake hands with the coach, wish him good luck, try to create a rapport. And she seemed kind of surly from the beginning.
Really?
But I didn't know what her situation was. So, And at halftime, I'm talking to the refs, we're just kind of shooting the breeze. And she comes storming over, and she had a list of demands that she wanted the refs, to do. And I thought, that's not a, that's not a good way to get on the referee side. So at the end of the game, we destroyed their team, by the way. I mean, we crushed them and put it in. This league has they call it a mercy rule, where if one team gets over a 20-point lead in the game, at any point in the game, they zero out the clock. And I'm sorry, the scoreboard. And so the scoreboard will read 0-0, so it doesn't look like 100-6, that kind of thing. So when they zero out the score, the team that has a 20-point lead gets the automatic win. And so then they're just playing for fun after that. And so nobody knows what the actual score is.
Okay.
And so we had reached that at the beginning of the second half. And so I motivate my players in saying, if you guys get to that point where we have a 20-point lead and they zero out the score, I'm not going to coach anymore. You guys do whatever you want. Just go out and have fun. Because they like shooting threes and,
Right.
doing all this crazy stuff that I don't want them to do, during
Right.
the regular game.
Right.
So my players were shooting threes. They were driving hard to the hoop. They were, doing all this stuff. And she gave me, after the game, she gave me a list of complaints of my coaching. She claimed I was trying to run up the score, which is impossible because the scoreboard said 0-0.
Yeah.
She was complaining that my players were shooting too many three-pointers and they just happened to be making them. But again, it didn't matter because the score said 0-0.
Yep.
She was complaining that my players were too aggressive and the refs weren't calling enough offensive charges, which has nothing to do with me. I just kind of, took all this in, and, when she finally stopped, all I said was, it's really too bad that you're such a sore loser. And I walked away, and the players were doing the cheer, where they say what the other team is, go. And this other team, their team name mascot was the Rizzlers.
What does that mean?
I have no idea what a Rizzler is,
Okay.
but that's what their team was. So our team was cheering, go Rizzlers. And I was telling my assistant coach what this coach was saying, and the players were overhearing. And they said, oh, what about the player that she recruited from the stands? And I said, what are you talking about? She had normally 10 players. She only had 7 for the game. So she asked a player from a previous game that was watching this game to join their team for the game. And she didn't tell me.
Ooh, so she
was using an illegal player on her team. So she was cheating. And she had this list of complaints at the end of the game. So I'm going to stereotype and say women should not coach boys basketball.
I'm going to go with you on that. That's ridiculous. It's like, if you don't want to get beat, then be better. I don't even like the fact they turn off the scoreboard. I don't care what age you are. If you're playing and competing in sports, you got to learn to win and lose, and to be better if you lose. So
The agony.
Correct. But it's like a youth league where parents are paying their kids to be in it. It's not like a school thing.
yeah,
So they try to
beating them up
be, I agree. I don't think they should do it either. But for her to make all those accusations when the scoreboard is reading 0-0.
right, it's stupid.
Yeah.
All right, Gary, I agree with you there. Evil One Chris says Gary's an observational comedic genius. Applause, Gary.
Indeed.
Finally, someone recognizes my brilliance.
All right. So, hey, before we end the show here, as we've gone over by about a half hour, but that's okay. We used to do this in the old days. We used to, when Kelsey was here, we just used to go right until we were done. And then we would, but now I got a Star Trek show to do at 5. So I got to make sure I get out of here on
More or
time.
less
But
done.
I do want to bring up a couple things real quickly while we have a captive audience here. I mean, I hope we do. I won't take long, but this show is sponsored by not only Taco Bell, but Wraith of God 3, Fear Hollow. This is my current campaign, a graphic novel campaign featuring the Wraith. This is number 3 out of a series of graphic novels. And in this issue, the Wraith and his partner Esther face off against the Headless Horseman. It's moving right along. Stuff's looking really good. I'm really pleased with it. I think you'll love it. So please, if you have not, please consider backing this campaign. You'll find a link in the description of this video. Also, one of our regulars is not here this week, but I would still like to share his campaign. This is David Williams doing the artwork. Ethan Van Sciver is publishing and writing Fearsome. If you have not checked out this campaign, check out some of the artwork here. There's a David Williams cover. That's an Ethan Van Sciver cover. That is a Shane Davis cover. And then we got some of the artwork on the inside from David. Where is it? Here we go. Jason Wright's the colorist. This book looks terrific. And I believe there's 2 issues in this campaign. So you order the first 2 issues. Tremendous artwork by David. He's working on the book. And like I said, Ethan's writing and publishing through his All Caps Comics label. So get out there and back this one if you haven't yet. It's going to be a killer. And again, you'll find a link in the description of this video. Also, I want you guys to go and subscribe to Dan Lawlis's YouTube channel. You'll find a link in the description of this video for that.
Hey, and to mention Cordrath closing out tonight.
Well, I'm getting there.
Okay.
We want to get the guys on the show first, Dan.
Yeah, well, I'm part of that.
Yeah, let's not talk about your channel, Dan. Let's talk about Cordrath.
Yeah. No, but Dan has a great channel where he does art tutorials. So check that out. It's on YouTube. You find a link in the description of this video. Take you right there. It doesn't cost anything either. You can just subscribe and get alerts.
I also give advice for writing cards and romantic things.
Yeah, that's a yes.
I mean, I'm getting better at it.
Also, now Andy Smith, our good friend, who just totally blew us off today because he's closing out his campaign, Cordrath, the Awakening.
At the beginning of the show, we were politely mentioning that Andy couldn't make it. Now
we're just ripping on him. But he is closing out today. So you guys, there's a link in the description of this video that'll take you to his campaign. Please check that out and support him. And when you're done here, I'm sure he's live streaming somewhere right now and closing it out. So that closes out at midnight tonight, Pacific time, 3 a.m. Eastern time. Back Andy's Cordrath, The Awakening. Randy Hall just dropped a link in the description. So thank you. People are telling me I still missed a super chat. Stealth says, I'm just messing with you. So look at Stealth gave us an extra $2 to say you missed my last super chat, which wasn't true. And then he gives us another $2 to tell us he was just messing with us. Stealth, you can continue to drop false clues and mess with us as much as you like.
Yeah, Stealth, that goes without saying. We know you are constantly messing with us.
Geek Avenger for 2. Did she drive a Subaru Gary?
I don't know. I think she avoided me after the game.
Well, after that cheating scandal.
Yeah.
Stealth says for $2, thanks for the show. Well, let's show you what we've done. I'll go first because it's my way. This, of course, is Captain Marvel.
Oh, it looks awesome, man.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I always liked this character. It was pretty cool to draw.
Jim Starlin's Captain
Aaron, if you drew that book, I would buy it.
Wow. Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, well, he would do a good job.
Aaron, what does Little G have to say about it?
Well, I was just going to get to that, actually. Little G has a comment about this. Let's see what he has to say.
Aaron, that's a solid 3rd place.
Awesome.
Well, you know, sometimes
I just got more.
Sometimes Little G says stuff like this too.
Your drawing is interesting.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, see, that's the kind of stuff you get on this show you can't find anywhere else. All right, Dan, can you beat this? And not that it's a competition, because it isn't. It isn't. But let's see what you got here. Right. Warlock, look at that.
Wow.
I forgot about that, like, skull-headed.
Yeah, I didn't have reference for that, so I got to finish it later when I find it. I know I saw it, but I need to get. You know, you have to get when you're getting reference on figures, you have to get more than one picture. You know, because some people just chuck it out, or they draw it differently each time. You know, that kind of stuff.
Paul Taylor says, "Great job, Dan."
Thanks.
Leg Kick says for $2. Thanks, Leg Kick says, Aaron, how much? 150 would take it. I probably. There you go. How about that? Let's see.
I'll finish this up. Hey, I'll put this up. Finish it. Put it online, And if you check me on Twitter, and you want to hit me up with it, I would sell it. So
There you go. Monumental Comics says Warlock is fabulous.
thank you.
Katie did says my puppet buddy. Yay.
It's an exclusive club if you get a puppet.
The question is, if I brought my puppet on, what would Katie say? Probably nothing positive.
Yeah.
Wait, did you get a puppet? Aaron, do you have a puppet?
I might have a puppet.
You might have one. The chat's been asking, yes, Rip-Off Verse Guy did the puppet.
Okay. Dan wins. He's such a legend. Good job, Lopez. Okay, minus.
Oh,
Wow, that's what Luffy's letting me have it. Paul Taylor says Aaron has puppet envy.
all right.
All right. Very cool. That's a nice piece, Dan, by the way.
Yes, it is. Yes.
All right, hang on a second. Before we go,
It's fun to draw that character again. I haven't drawn him in like, 30 years.
With that, Dan, would you have drawn a different pose if you would have drawn the capeless version of him?
Not really. Not really.
So
I would have
a puppet.
Oh yeah, I like that guy. He's awesome, man.
Yeah, look at that.
He does have the hair, right?
Well, there's a Evil One says Captain Marvel's a little long in the crotch. Everybody's a freaking critic, Let's see here. Yeah, so there's a puppet maker in Vancouver, of all places, Gary.
Really?
Yeah. And I bought this at a Portland show because I could not resist. So it's like a 2-person puppet. You got to do the hands.
Oh, okay.
And you got the eyes blink.
The eyes blink. That's very cool.
And I'm not a puppet guy, but the craftsmanship on this was so great, I had to get it.
I like it. Oh
It
yeah,
sits in my studio.
I love
There you
that
go.
you do the eyes.
Does he do anything other than like animals?
He did this sculpt of a monkey head, like it's like Merv the Astro Chimp, like in a bubble helmet, but it's so awesome. I mean, it was just like a head you could buy, I guess, but it was like $3,000 or something. But yeah, he does like big puppets like this. It's called.
How do you go over do you put your hands through to control the closing of the eyes? Because that's
there's
fantastic.
there's a metal loop in here that does that.
Oh, that's great. That's what makes him alive. I mean, it looks like a real person. Like
Yeah, it looks like a Muppet.
Yeah. So there you go. Let's see. There, Katie. That's so cool, Aaron. Thank you, Katie. That seemed genuine, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Monumental Comics for 5. You both really brought the 3D feel out as if Jack Kirby controlled your pens. Wow, that's very
Wow. High praise.
Robert Dones Pills says Aaron is a solid 3rd place today.
Yeah. Little G agrees.
Little G agrees. Paul Taylor for $10 Canadian. You did very well today, Aaron. Keep at it. Well done, Dan. Wow.
That's what you say
Oh.
when you're critiquing some kid at a show. You say you don't know what positive to say, so you just say keep at it.
That puppet was made from real Lopez arm hair. Holy smokes. Are you kidding me? I've dropped more cannonballs in this show than I've done in a long time.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's show. Who knows what will happen next week, but make sure you check out our poll every week on Monday for this show, and you get to choose between 3 categories of what you'd like to see us draw, and then we go from there. So, again, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for all the super chats. You guys are more than generous. We could not do this show without your support, and we greatly appreciate it. And, we love the give and take. So hopefully no one was offended by anything we might have said.
We always
no wife was offended by what Dan said.
Always hope that.
Yeah. We always hope
offended.
it. We always hope it. So
I told you that's why I had to be off camera when I did those, because I was just I couldn't hold it together when I was reading a couple of those. I was just like,
I know.
I mean, the chat can't see me, but I'm just over here just biting my tongue like, oh my gosh. That was pretty fun.
Let's go out on this last note by Little G.
Corn dogs. Corn dogs. Corn dogs.